something?
Well, an
something.
HVAC system now,
Okay.
but it was probably their butler's pantry. And this, now there's a bathroom there, but back then it was another closet of some sort. This part of the house is my favorite part because it looks a little simpler.
Yeah.
Not so crazy carpet and wallpaper, but, well, the wallpaper's still crazy. But this part of the house was an existing house. It was built in 1840. So a French colonial home, basically, and the Hunters purchased this and built onto it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like that curve that's in the wall behind you, that's a staircase, an exterior staircase. You had to go outside and go up when it was its own house. And there's the Dawson, so the second generation, William Dawson and Ella Hunter-Dawson.
Now, so what they built on is what we just came from. That's
Exactly.
what they built on. Otherwise, from here back is the original house.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is just their family dining room, so everyday meals.
Mhm.
You got Amanda's mother's sideboard over there, so that's 1830s. It's probably the oldest piece of furniture in the house. Empire style. It's interesting to see how they get a little simpler, smaller, and then they turn into a china cabinet.
You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to touch anything.
Curiosity got to them.
Curiosity killed a cat.
I wouldn't even say.
Got little doors and drawers.
It's only 180 years old. What could you do to hurt it?
Yeah, some of our dresser drawers are built like that.
Well, from what my
Mine
research,
did like that. See?
that Coven pen they say was 1880 to 1900 when that stuff was made, when they used that kind of joint. And I had one guy that was into woodworking and he built cabinets and stuff for them. And he said that this would actually be easier than the dovetail joints. I don't know. I'm like, if it was so easy, why don't we still do it? But I mean, all you had to do is drill a hole in there. So, I mean, maybe it is easier than a dovetail.
Now you buy stuff that's just stapled.
Yeah, stapled and glued, you know. Well, I don't know. I can't help myself other than to, you know, I can buy this on Amazon for $50 or buy this one for $500. It's really hard, but I know I should go for the $500 one. It's just too, it's like Walmart. Should I shop at my local grocery store and pay twice as much for it and get a lot less food, or go to Walmart? You just, I don't know. I mean, what are you going to do? If everybody did it, it'd be great, but not everybody will do that. I will say I do go to our local grocery store when I need milk or something very simple like that, because Walmart is almost 30 minutes away from us.
Could you imagine cooking? Get back here, load up, get you some wood and load that up, and
So you can play with that stuff. You're not going to hurt that cast iron.
get to cooking. Get to cooking here.
Yeah, cooking something.
No, I don't think
In the winter it'd probably be great. In the summer it'd be misery.
Oh yeah, they had a summer kitchen for the summertime. There's no way they use this in the
This-
summer.
this-
Hey, or Maine. I had a brother born there.
Really?
Yeah.
A brother born in Maine and then you're in Tennessee. How'd that
Well, he
happen?
lives in Louisiana now, but
Well, she's not from Tennessee.
yeah.
Where are you from originally?
She's born in Kansas.
Kansas City,
Kansas?
Topeka.
Cool. I've been through, what is that? Southern Kansas. Going to Colorado. Where did I go through? It's a bigger town. I went there at like 2 o'clock in the morning and I went to the Walmart and got followed around by a really weird guy the whole time I was in there. I was like, yeah, I don't like this town. Maybe it was Topeka, I don't know. There's no place like that. All my travels and everything. I mean, I do, like, I've been to Minnesota a few times and I actually really do like Minnesota, just not Minneapolis. I kind of avoid there and go up to the boundary waters. Any rural area is fine with me.
That looks old.
That's my favorite piece in here, that chopping block. So I should tell y'all the kitchen. There's not a lot of original family pieces in here because they modernized their kitchen. They had countertops and table or cabinets and stuff. So we had to take all that out and get all this old stuff back in here. So like the stove, they actually still had their original stove, but someone took it out of the house. The house was vacant for 8 years, so someone scrapped it, I'm sure. But this is an 1896 stove. The pie safe was the family's. This is 1800s. The screen on it, did it originally have screen? I don't know, because in 1860 screen was really expensive and rare.
I bet they did.
I'm thinking they did. It looks like it would be a punched in one, but they could have replaced the punched in with
I
screen.
got a pie safe. It's not old or anything, but it has screens like
Because,
that.
yeah, she was kind of their nanny, basically.
Okay.
But yeah, now this tour will turn into a tour of bedrooms. So.
Okay.
And then once we're done looking at the bedrooms, we got one more room we'll look at on this side. They're formal parlors. We'll save those for last. The formal parlors.
That's back there. Get your workout done, Joe.
And if you need a chair, if you need to take a break, I think I got one up here somewhere.
Yeah, we'll make it.
Now this is you got 2 steps
Wow.
up and 1 down.
Look at this. Isn't this grand? Watch you step over, Joe. Wow. Look at that. It goes down.
So that's some old stairs when that was its own house that you'd have used.
Now, what would they have had here?
Yeah.
Oh,
Would
this
this-
just goes to the porch underneath us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's a French colonial thing. They had staircases on the outside of their house. For
What's
some
all these doors?
bedrooms. You had to go from room to room to get in, or outside to get from room to room. But yeah, now in 1860, that view you see there.
Oh,
is-
okay.
That's our.
I see now. Okay.
You would have saw that all around the house because we were half a mile outside of town at that point.
Okay. So when you get the property, you get 100 acres, basically.
Yeah.
And then you subdivide out and there you keep 17 plus and then the city develops all the rest.
Yeah, they came out pretty good for $15,000.
No
with 80
kidding.
Acres.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Of course the house was probably in pretty bad shape.
Yeah, it was. It took a lot of money to get it back.
15,000
The city, anyways. I mean, but I'm sure if they sold it to privately, they would have got more. But I think they sold it in the understanding that it was going to be preserved and they could, come anytime.
What is that?
The rooms,
Well, we
bedrooms,
can go in there if you want to see it.
bedrooms.
Well, here, let's start at the beginning.
That's interesting. It's interesting that the bedrooms are off of it like that.
Yeah, it is. It's a weird French.
Now, would this been a family room here, or would this been where a slave or something would
Slave,
stay?
that's and it was bigger. The state added this closet on, but
Yeah.
we say this was Phyllis's room. This is their slave census from 1860. So Amanda and her 7 children start here, and then it ends right there. But Phyllis is the first one, and her name's on here.
Mm-hmm.
She was 108 years old. So if you're 100 or over,
Mm-hmm.
you had your name listed on the census. So the rest of them just has their age, male or female, mulatto or black.
Uh-huh.
But
Okay.
and then in 1870, Phyllis was still living here, and she was at that point it says she was 115 years old.
Ooh.
So she didn't really age 10 years, but
Phyllis what?
Watson. It doesn't have her last name, but we have other
Phyllis
stuff for her.
Watson.
And that's Amanda's maiden name. So we think she probably came from Amanda's parents, probably helped raise Amanda, and then helped Amanda raise her kids.
Uh-huh.
But if she's really that old, I mean, she was born in the French and Indian War.
Mhm.
Like, she got to see the revolution and everything.
And you're saying this would have been her room?
Probably, yeah.
Uh-huh.
This room, and then there's a room on the other side of the boys' room, and it's our storage room right now, but it could have been that room.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had someone tell me earlier today, this stain here looks like where there was a stove.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there had only been a couple of them in here at a time. But all both beds are original. Every bed you'll see in the house is original. That makes it easy.
Yeah, what do they call those old pots?
Chamber pots.
Chamber
Yeah,
pots.
that's it.
Unless you want to be really fancy and say thunder mode.
Yeah.
That's one of the family ledgers there. Not sure whose that is, but it looks old.
John. It's writing somewhere like it.
All those books are more like what the boys might have had, anywhere from Latin grammar to elementary history books. It's kind of interesting reading those, especially the elementary history book. It's there's one from 1900, and at the end it talks about like what to expect, just summaries, and one of them was saying, in 20 years from now we'll all be driving around in electric trolleys and stuff like that, because I guess battery powered was the first powered stuff. And then it was talking about bragging how we were an isolationist nation and we're so much better off for it, and those people over in Europe live like slaves because they're always fighting wars and fighting each other, and we're, you know, and I was like, boy, have times changed since then. I'd like to see what they would think now.
They like the shortness of the beds.
They're 2 inches shorter.
I mean,
That's
people
the way-
were just shorter people.
They were about 2 or 3 inches shorter than us, and they were skinny. That's
what they were skinny.
They were smaller built, yeah. I don't even know if it's really there's this one, we have their original clothing boxed up, but one of them's a men's wedding suit from the 1870, and he has a 32-inch long pants, so he's the same length as I am, and 30-inch waist, and I couldn't put him on, but he had a jacket. I was like, maybe I could put his jacket on, and hopefully this isn't going anywhere, because I probably shouldn't be doing that. Anyways, his shoulders were like this on me. I could not get my arm through one of his sleeves.
Course.
And this was back before I got married and gained some weight. I was 135 pounds. I still couldn't fit in his clothes.
He might have been 90 or 100 pounds.
Yeah, been 5'8" and 100 pounds.
Yeah.
I would have probably been like a macho man back in those days.
Yeah.
My wife thinks I'm happy now.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Alright, so this room's our archive room. We don't go in there. That's just storage, basically. And this room always has wasps flying around in it, so hopefully there's none right now. But the washroom, they closed off the end of the porch and, yeah, threw a tub in it.
Now, I guess it wasn't uncommon to not be level.
Well,
Or is it just...
for porches that aren't, you know, like ours today, tongue and groove, you wanted it to have a lean to it so the water would run off.
Okay.
But I think it's gotten a little more leany because this is a pretty big lean.
Yeah.
So they just sat down and
Yeah, dangled your feet out. Look, you got
Gotcha.
armrests and a backrest.
They had to haul some warm water somewhere in here.
Yeah,
so.
they'd have to do that. Now the girls probably had a tub in the kitchen. The boys probably use this, and in the wintertime they could drag that in their bedroom and have warm water from their stove.
Yeah.
And then to dump it out, all you gotta do is dump it right off the porch. Yeah.
Interesting.
I just like how this room's like what is it called, shiplap or what, something like that.
Yeah.
Wood and
So this is where y'all now keep all your archive stuff now,
yep.
related to this house. And so you got records and things you keep in there, or
I
what?
mean, honestly, that room's more of a catch-all for the stuff we can't really display and stuff that's, you know, needing to be repaired. Our office has more of the all the documents and stuff locked up.
Okay.
just get in there.
Yeah, that's just a room. Yeah.
Now, when we were building a new office over there in that field, and we're going to have a room in there that we pretty much transfer everything from there to there, and then that room's going to be Phyllis's room, and we're going to hopefully get more slavery type stuff. Be able to interpret slavery a little bit better.
So where are you building over here?
Kind of closer to the road.
Okay, so they've not started anything. When are they planning to build that? You know?
3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
They're pretty sure they're going to start this November. I doubt it.
You're just, what, was you waiting on funding or something?
No, the funds are there. It's just, well, COVID kind of slowed
yeah,
things down,
sure.
and then we have an architect, and he quit before he signed off on it. Everything was ready to go, and they were ready to
Yeah.
start, and then he retired
Uh-huh.
and didn't sign off on it, so they had to hire a new one. I don't know. It's just one thing
Yeah,
after
sure,
another.
of course. That always happens. Bureaucracy,
Bureaucracy,
of course, yeah.
But funding, no, we got plenty of money.
Now, is this part of the original house?
Yep,
Okay, and you said that just goes to the below balcony.
exactly.
Okay.
That's a steep.
So where is their cellars and stuff where they would have kept stuff cold, food and things, you know?
Underneath the kitchen, there's a root cellar. The rest of the house is a crawl space. Of course, there's probably more outbuildings that we don't have anymore. So yeah, your root cellar, that would have probably been it.
Okay.
I guess that was their refrigerator. I don't know if they
Why
had
don't you
ice
step up,
houses in
with them.
1860s. So we still got 4 more bedrooms up
Now,
here.
is this part of the new
Exactly.
construction here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, I thought that was different to have those outside, and now these are in.
Here, I'll sneak up. Yeah,
It does make it different.
definitely a lot more like what we're used to.
Well, you know, it makes it look like all of that would have been where the slaves would have stayed.
Just trying not to step on that road. That's an actual original 1890s road.
Wow.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, it does. But
But
they were.
you know, if the original house only had those rooms,
Mhm.
family had to stay in them.
And honestly, when that was its own house in 1840, that was a pretty darn big house.
Mhm.
They would have been a wealthy family in
Mhm.
town. But yeah, this is the children's room. You got your full-size bed, 3/4 size youth bed. So when they outgrew the cradle, they'd go in that bed. When they outgrew that, they'd go in there. And then the boys would eventually go outside.
Mhm.
Y'all got one of those?
A bigger one.
Jeez. Y'all got a bunch of gold stuff. And they actually have a potty chair, so that's kind of neat.
Mhm.
A little fancier. Medicated paper, kind of an early form of toilet paper.
Mhm.
This would be like $10 for us to pay for a roll of toilet paper.
Mhm.
And really with inflation, it's probably more than that
Mhm.
now. That's a couple years ago
Uh-huh.
price.
Mm.
That's what's scary was like when I first started 8 years ago or 9 years ago, when I would say Amanda spent $1,700 on furniture, that'd be like us spending $38,000. And today I'm saying that'll be like us spending $60,000.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, man, in a couple of years it'll be $100,000, and I have to look at it every week to make sure I'm saying the
This
correct
must have
number.
been the parents or something.
Yeah, so this is the master bedroom or Amanda's bedroom. Now, if William would have lived, like I was saying earlier, he probably would have had the children's room,
Uh-huh.
and then one of those rooms would have been the children's room.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, the half canopy bed, the dresser and washstand, that's part of her furniture collection. Of course, in the summer you'd have mosquito netting draped over this.
Mhm.
And then these would come out where you can stick like a pole, so the mosquito netting wasn't on your feet.
Some of them are come up.
That might have been one.
Mhm.
Or just because that's how they attached it. But. And look, faux graining again, you know how I was talking about the house faux graining? This is faux graining too. It's really nice, whatever this is, walnut or oak bed, has faux graining on it.
You got a like this too, Cole. See the mirror folds in, has the slats to hold it. These are the ones I'm talking about where the drawers on some of them are very hard to open and close.
Those are two. Here, I'll sample the drawer
We've got
here.
some like this and they're hard to open and close.
Yeah, these are. Now this one opened kind of easy. This is like morning practice stuff.
Mhm.
See, it's closing it.
Mhm.
I think this one's even harder.
Yeah, that's what happens as you go further down, they get harder to close.
Here we go. Here's a post-mortem of one of their kids.
Hmm.
That's sad.
Mhm.
That's one of Ella's kids, we think. But that's the only photograph you've had of them. You kind of want
Yeah. Yeah, that's what mine do.
to, yeah, see,
I
I
gotta
knew
work
I
them to get them back in.
I pulled it out too far.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what it
that's
was.
exactly what I was.
You
That's
gotta
the
go
one.
one side to the other
Yeah,
side.
that's one thing that Carla doesn't like about it is
I
that
don't even know what.
they're hard to open and close like that. And a lot of times they'll open easy, but then it's very hard to close them.
Is this their car? Is the base
Yeah,
car?
that's one of the. I think that's a later generation, but yeah. The family member donated those to us. They're like, you know, everybody's kid would wear these, and
And
then
they've got their pots. Every bedroom, see, Jeff, their pot.
here you go. Don't get scared.
Ooh.
That's a mourning dress for Amanda was in mourning when she moved in, so.
Yeah.
But
Was this her dress or not?
no, that was made for Vicky, that lady that was in the office when she was a few years younger. It's a size 8, so I mean it's not that small as it looks. It's just the waist is really high up.
Mhm. Well,
And then if you want to go in that sewing room,
look at here.
so yeah, that sewing machine there was Ella's from 1900. And then you have Amanda's sewing machine over here from 1856.
Oh, wow.
And then I can't pull it out, or I'm not supposed to, but in that drawer there, she wrote in the back of it, hurrah for Jeff Davis and hurrah for Stonewall, and dated it in 1862.
So, okay, so you jack the dowel and there's some needle that gets inserted, I guess, to,
Yeah,
well, that's something I'm gonna have to look up. That's interesting. How they,
now this one also we saw where you could get a treadle foot
Uh-huh,
thing
uh-huh.
to hook onto it. Yeah, kind of like that one. I mean,
uh-huh.
it's definitely rudimentary.
And what did you say is in that drawer again? She dated some stuff?
Where she wrote hurrah for Jeff Davis and
Her what now?
Hurrah, like hooray for Jeff Davis and Stonewall Jackson. So
Oh.
she was showing off her Confederate
Oh,
groups
okay.
there.
Huh.
That was right after they had seized the house, and who knows what all happened. And a few months later is when she wrote that in there.
I've got to go back and look this up. That's interesting.
Well, there's, I don't know if you can get that on camera, but there's where all the information. you would need.
Well, I never thought to go back to see, you know, who invented and came up with a sewing machine like this. I mean, it's what date did you say this is? Do you
That
know?
one's 1856, but look, there's more patents on it. So I mean, it have been updated over the years. There's 1851, 1852, 53, and 56.
Interesting.
And this is well, you look up that number 9639, and then there's some other words there.
I mean, but look, it's just a little carry box. I mean,
It's like a portable
Yeah.
sewing machine.
Oh, it
Exactly.
says. Interesting. Very interesting. And what's this case? It's locked. Is it a jewelry type case of some sort?
That's
or
their
something?
companion to your sewing machines. You can
Oh.
hold needles and threads and fabrics.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah.
Oh.
And then what I always like to say is, if we're in 1860, all of a sudden you'd look out that window and you'd see a half a mile of countryside.
Uh-huh, yeah.
So you wouldn't see an open trailer sitting in front of us.
Yeah, that's you.
Yeah. That's where I live.
That's your office. Yeah.
And well, they're actually thinking about when they move our office, making that into like a little residence for seasonals or something. Like, yeah. But yeah, so it
You mean like a groundskeeper or
kind
or
of,
maybe?
well, like if there was someone wanted to do an internship or, yeah, a seasonal employee for the summertime, I could stay in it. We have a residence right now at the end of that field. You can't see it because of all the trees, but that's where I live. So, yeah, I'm the guy who comes over here if the alarm's going off or, whatever.
Okay, so you are on site then.
Mhm, yeah,
You live on site.
exactly.
You're like State Park employee or something, or
Mhm.
state, what?
Yeah, I'm full-time.
Mm-hmm.
And really, my boss had first choice. She could have lived in it, but she already had a house.
Uh-huh.
So I lucked out into living in that.
Yeah, because normally those would be reserved for what, like a superintendent or
Mhm.
something?
Yep,
Of the-
normally.
And what all do you oversee? Just this house?
This and Tawasagi Indian mounds that are out about 20 minutes out in the country.
Hmm.
Yeah. And it used to be the Big Oak Management Unit. We had that. We had Big Oak Tree State Park and Morris State Park. But they switched up where all the natural sites went and all the historic sites went separate.
Now, how did you come to get involved in the park service then? Did you-
Well, it was an internship. I was in college and they said you got to pick something. And I was like, I don't know what I want to do, but I like history. So historic preservation is where I went. And then when it came to you got to do an internship, I'm from Cooter, Missouri, so
Mhm.
down
Mhm.
there further. I'm like, man, I don't want to move all the way to St. Louis or Jeff City. I was like, oh yeah, Hunter-Dawson.
Well, this is a great, it seems to me, a great job because, I mean, you basically, I mean, is your job primarily to show the tours of this all
Yeah,
every
I'm
day?
the interpreter. I think they changed to the historian, but
Mm-hmm.
so I give tours. Well, shoot, I just built that balance up there and put it up there above that window. I do stuff like that. I faux grain, I mow sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
We got a maintenance guy too, but he can't keep up with everything.
So just anything and everything?
Anything and everything.
Okay. Well, interesting. That's an interesting, you know, I've always wondered if, because I love history too, if I wouldn't have loved doing something like that. But
I don't know who wouldn't love doing this. I mean, just talking all day long, and if you're not doing that, doing something in the mansion, cleaning it, whatever.
Mhm.
Or yeah, if they're slow, if we don't have enough people on the maintenance side of things, get to mow and weed eat.
a block from here is some other museum, isn't it?
Yeah, there's the city museum downtown by the river.
Okay.
Yeah, they have more stuff on the Civil War,
On the
earthquakes.
earthquake? Okay.
Exactly.
Right.
But this is their guest room, so I'll show you one thing that you won't see anywhere else, or I haven't heard of it being anywhere else. These bed springs here,
No, I've never seen this.
I never seen that either.
we have them from Amanda's receipt. She paid